In the entire courtyard, countless 5 elements of spiritual power dissipated and boiled, forming a huge circular barrier, turning the entire courtyard into colorful colors. The 5-color divine light bloomed over the Kongsi family's mansion, as if it had become a fairyland. In the yard, Jason's face was filled with joy as he carefully felt every element in the entire space. The 5-color spiritual power was flowing. At this moment, Jason felt like the master of this space. The 5 elements were all controlled by him, and the feeling of being at his ease made him intoxicated. I have actually successfully researched the 5 elements barrier. The 5 elements are symbiotic. That's it. That's it. Because of the birth of the 5 elements barrier, Jason's understanding of the law of the 5 elements has become deeper. At the same time, he also carefully perceived the effect of the 5 elements barrier. At this feeling, Jason's eyes suddenly showed a hint of surprise, because he could feel that this 5-element elemental enchantment was somewhat different from ordinary elemental enchantments. Because he had absorbed the golden spirit bead, Jason was able to release gold-based elemental barriers as early as when he was a 4th-level heavenly spiritual master. This also caused Jason to be unfamiliar with the elemental barriers that an 8th-level imperial spiritualist could release. The world is very understanding. The elemental barrier released by an 8th-level imperial spiritual master is a skill that repels all the power of surrounding elements and then forms a unique elemental space. Once used, the space around the spiritual master will be filled with itself. The elemental power of the attribute. Just like Jason's metal element barrier, once it is released, the entire world will become a sea of metal spiritual power, filled with metal spiritual elements. In such an environment, as a Jason with metal attributes can maximize his combat effectiveness, because in an environment full of metal spiritual power, it is extremely convenient and easy for Jason to absorb elemental spiritual power, and when he releases his skills, he is even more comfortable. On the contrary, in such an environment, opponents with different attributes will be suppressed, resulting in weakened strength. However, such suppression is not considered powerful. It is purely a special elemental space. Moreover, when 2 Emperor spiritual masters fight normally, they rarely release elemental barriers, because the elements themselves are equal. If the 2 elemental barriers intersect with each other, the suppression of their own strength and the other party will not be so obvious. So among 8th-level Emperor spiritual masters, the element barrier is more used as a symbol of the Emperor spiritual master's identity. However, in Jason's perception, his 5-element elemental barrier is different from the ordinary elemental barrier. The ordinary elemental barrier is just a pure elemental space, but the 5-element elemental barrier he released, but it gave Jason a vague feeling of complete control over the surrounding space and elements, and even more of a sense of legal suppression. This my 5 elements barrier actually suppresses the laws. Isn't it similar to the realm of the 9th-level Holy Spirit Master? In the yard, Jason's eyes were filled with surprise. Although he was an 8th-level Emperor Spirit Master, he has not yet reached the 9th-level Holy Spirit Master, but he understands the realm of the 9th-level Holy Spirit Master very clearly. The 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master communicates with the elements of heaven and earth. The 8th-level Imperial Spiritual Master controls the elemental enchantment, and the 9th-level Holy Spirit Master owns a domain. Compared with the elemental enchantment, the domain is also an elemental space, but it is more powerful than the elemental enchantment. Too many, because it completely controls the laws of elements, rather than simply filling a space with spiritual elements that match its own attributes. Control law. If I put it this way, I won't have to be too afraid of others when I meet a 9th-level Holy Spirit Master in the future, at least in terms of domain. Jason felt a hint of joy in his heart. If his guess is true, Jason will not suffer too much in terms of domain when encountering a 9th-level Holy Spirit Master like Gilroy in the future. Of course, these are just Jason's own guesses. Just when Jason was surprised by the power of his 5 elements barrier, outside the yard, Renaud and Wayne suddenly walked in. As soon as he walked into the yard, he was wrapped in the 5 elements barrier released by Jason. That powerful, the 5 elements of spiritual power wrapped around him like silk, making the two of them stunned. Seeing his father and Wayne, Jason's heart suddenly moved, and he saw his spiritual consciousness controlling the 5 elements barrier slightly. Boom! The 5 elements of spiritual power in the entire courtyard are all violent and flowing to each other. Earth generates gold, metal generates water, water generates wood, and wood generates fire. For a time, the entire courtyard is filled with rich fire element spiritual power, and the laws of the fire element continue. Of lingering. Among the 5 elements, fire overcomes metal. At the same time, the fire attribute also suppresses the ice attribute. Suddenly, the powerful fire element law in the sky was aimed at Wayne and Renault and suppressed them. Suddenly, the space around the two people was restrained. An astonishing fire power, with the power of restraint, was constantly oppressing and restraining them from all directions. In an instant, Renault felt that the 8th level intermediate spiritual power in his body was sluggish, could barely function, and even his body could not move, and Wayne also felt that the 9th level ice spiritual power in his body was slightly affected. "This Jason, what are you using?" Renault looked at Jason in surprise. Although he was only an 8th level intermediate emperor spiritual master, in terms of real strength, he was comparable to the 8th level senior emperor spiritual master. Under the 5-color light shrouded by Jason, the spiritual power in his body was difficult to operate, and his body was almost difficult to move, which made him full of surprise. Field. "Jason, have you advanced to the 9th level of Holy Spirit Master?" On the side, Wayne also looked at Jason with a surprised expression, and then frowned again. "No, this is not a realm. The laws of the realm suppress it. It won't just be this little bit. This is indeed not a domain, it is the 5 elements barrier I just created." "Wayne, release your domain and let me see it," Jason said. "Okay." A smile appeared on Wayne's face, and immediately buzz. An invisible coercion descended from the sky and spread directly, covering an area of 1,000 meters, forming a huge spherical light blue cover, shrouded in over the yard. Boom! The ice field released by Wayne collided with the 5-element barrier released by Jason. The two worlds collided and competed for control of this world. Under the pressure of Wayne's ice field, Jason's 5-elemental barrier continued to shrink, and he gradually lost control of this world. "Get up!" Seeing this scene, Jason roared. His eyes were filled with divine light. The barrier of 5 elements that had been shrinking and suppressed suddenly stretched out, trying to slowly regain control. "Right. Humph, break it for me." Wayne also snorted coldly. The powerful ice spiritual power was continuously released from his body, and the terrifying 9th order holy spiritual power descended. Pung! The 5-element elemental barrier that was originally slowly propped up could no longer withstand it and continued to retreat. Finally, it shrank to a size of several meters and surrounded Jason. "Sure enough, it still doesn't work." Jason sighed, but there was still a smile on his lips. "Awesome, awesome." Seeing the power of Jason's 5 elements barrier, Wayne couldn't help but sigh. Regardless of Jason's failure to withstand the pressure from Wayne's domain, who is Wayne? Although he has not been promoted to the 9th level Holy Spirit Master for a long time, he is definitely a powerful being among the lower level 9th level Holy Spirit Masters. After all, what Jason releases is elemental enchantment, which is essentially different from the realm. Jason's 5 elements, although the barrier has been suppressed to a minimum, it has not completely dissipated after all. Being able to reach this level under the pressure of Wayne's domain has made Jason extremely satisfied. After all, he is an 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master. When he reaches the 8th level intermediate level, the 8th level high level, or the 8th level peak level, there may be no difference from the 9th level realm. And with this 5 elements barrier, Jason would not be so passive when facing a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master like Gilroy again. "Father, Wayne, what do you want from me?" Jason withdrew the elemental barrier and smiled. Jason, I'm going back to the death maze to practice. Renault said. Back to the death maze? Jason couldn't help but be stunned. Well, my cultivation speed is 10 times that of the outside world. I want to advance to the 8th level advanced level as soon as possible, and even the 8th level peak level. Renault looked towards the north of the continent, his eyes a little lonely. Jason knew that his father had always had a wish in his heart. That wish was in the Cairo Empire in the north of the mainland, and Jason had never forgotten it. Father, with our current strength, we can definitely go to the Cairo Empire and wipe out the Daos family. Jason thought for a moment and said immediately. He is not just talking casually. The current strength of the Chaos territory is indeed higher than that of the Daos family. Although the Daos family is one of the 4 major families in the Cairo Empire, it has gradually become stronger in recent years. Has declined, and the strongest one among them, the current patriarch Dichuan Rao, is only an 8th level peak imperial spiritual master, and is as famous in the Cairo Empire as the Ice Emperor Wayne back then. With Jason's current strength, a peak 8th level emperor spiritualist can no longer threaten him. And Jason and the others are no longer afraid of Augustus, who was an 8th level intermediate emperor spiritualist back then, even if the opponent's strength has improved. With Wayne, a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit master, he can go anywhere in the continent. No, Renault shook his head, with a hint of determination in his eyes. I must do this myself. As long as I advance to the 8th level of advanced imperial spiritual master, I will have enough capital to go to Daos. Family, let Yulia come back to me. I want everyone in the Daos family to know that I, Renault, have enough strength to let Yulia marry me. Renault clenched his fists. I feel that this day is not far away, he said firmly. After spending the last day with Jason, the next morning, the determined Renault resolutely left the city of chaos and entered the cloud swamp. Looking at his father's retreating back, Jason said nothing, but secretly cheered for his father. After Renault left, Jason fell into practice again. This time, he took out a jade box with red light flowing from the space ring on his left hand. This jade box was exactly the red dragon crystal jade box that he got from the leader of the Dark Knight organization. It was the red dragon crystal jade box that his family ancestors had given to Queen Orlando. Now that I have been promoted to the 8th level of the low-level Emperor Spirit Master, I think I should be able to open the 8th level of restrictions on this jade box. Jason held the red dragon crystal jade box and stared at the red dragon crystal. The 9 swimming dragons murmured in their mouths. Jason has always had huge doubts about the red dragon crystal jade box. After he was promoted to the 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master, he opened the 7th level ban on the jade box, and the bloodline he obtained transformed his talent. It became stronger and at the same time upgraded the god-destroying technique to 7 times its combat power. Now that Jason had grown into an 8th level low-level Emperor Spirit Master, it was time to open the 8th level restriction of the jade box. Thinking of this, Jason immediately used his spiritual consciousness and slowly penetrated into the 8th level restriction of the jade box. At first, his 7th level spiritual consciousness was completely blocked by the restriction outside. This time it was blocked by the 8th level restriction. His spiritual consciousness suddenly broke through. Boom! Jason's consciousness suddenly fell into a state of restriction. What appeared in his perception was a red swimming dragon containing terrifying energy. As it wandered, it continued to outline unique routes. Jason, who had cracked the previous 7 restrictions, was naturally well prepared. The route outlined by the wandering dragon has a unique mystery that ordinary spiritual masters cannot understand at all. Even array masters cannot distinguish it at all. But an 8th level elixir master can see the unique mystery contained in it, and use the 8th level elixir knowledge to completely decipher it. Immediately, Jason's entire consciousness was completely immersed in the restriction, and he slowly cracked the restriction. If you want to crack the jade box, you must be an Emperor Spiritual Master who has reached the lower level of the 8th level in spiritual consciousness and medicine, and the physical strength is the low level of the 9th level. Jason, although in terms of elixir science, is equivalent to a 9th level low-level elixir master, he is a complete newcomer in terms of spiritual consciousness flow. Fortunately, after Jason was promoted to the 8th level low-level Emperor spiritual master, he prepared several bottles of 8th level Emperor level spiritual potions. He also made great progress in the 8th level spiritual consciousness flow, but after all, the time was still too short. It is simply impossible to break through this restriction without spending a lot of effort. Therefore, while Jason was caught up in the crack, he was also slowly improving his knowledge of elixirs in the flow of spiritual consciousness. The two confirmed each other and benefited him a lot. It took Jason 3 days to crack the first restriction. The next 5 restrictions took him 3 months, and the 7th restriction took him 3 months. After 20 days, the 8th level of restriction is now much more powerful and complex than the 7th level. When Jason cracked the 7th level of restriction, he was already a 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master. But he was only an 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master, and the difficulties he faced had also improved a lot. This also caused Jason to crack the restrictions much slower than before, but Jason was not anxious at all. He continued to crack the rules every day, and then confirmed his knowledge of elixirs, and occasionally taught Kimid and the others were completely integrated into this kind of life, and they felt an indescribable sense of fulfillment in their hearts. Time flies like water, and time flies by. Jason is completely immersed in cracking the restrictions, cracking a little bit every day, without being arrogant or impetuous, and his attainments in elixirs are steadily improving. Finally, a month and a half later, Jason's spiritual consciousness controlled the 8th dragon in the jade box, unlocking the last hurdle and completely breaking through the 8th layer of restrictions. As the 8th layer of restrictions was released, as before, an inexplicable force instantly flowed out of the red dragon crystal jade box, and then entered Jason's body. Boom! Jason's body suddenly changed under the nourishment of this energy. The blood all over his body boiled instantly, and a trace of white mist appeared above his head. A searing feeling quickly arose in Jason's body. Jason's skin instantly turned extremely red. However, Jason didn't have the slightest worry in his heart. The last time the 7th layer of restrictions was released, the strange situation at that time made him already prepared in his heart at this moment. The entire blood refining process will take about several hours to end. The experienced Jason immediately sat down cross-legged and felt the changes in the blood in his body. When he first cracked the 7th level restriction, Jason was only an 8th level elixir master in terms of technical skills, so he didn't have much awareness of the changes in the bloodline in his body. But now, his physical strength has reached the low-level 9th level. Jason is already a 9th level low-level elixir master. With Jason's attainments in technical fluid medicine, he immediately felt the changes in his body. This strange power transmitted from the red dragon crystal jade box is a very special power. It does not seem to belong to a real elemental spiritual master, but an extremely dreamy power, somewhat similar to spirit, soul, and elements. As soon as the strange power of the 3 combined entered his body, Jason felt that every cell in his body seemed to be reborn, and there was a change that he was eager to try. As this power continued to penetrate, every cell in Jason's body became completely active under this power. At the same time, the blood in Jason's body also began to boil. This process lasted for more than an hour, and at this time, the blood and cells in Jason's body were also transformed from quantitative changes to qualitative changes under the influence of this force. Pung! At this moment, all the cells in Jason's body were shattered, and then began to reorganize, and the remaining impurities in Jason's blood were slowly expelled from the body. A sharp pain instantly spread throughout Jason's body. Ah! Jason gritted his teeth and hissed in a low voice. Although Jason, who had experienced this process once, was already prepared in his heart, when the pain that directly combined with the soul and spirit came again, Jason was still sweating from the pain, his face was pale, and his body could not help but spasms. The cells all over Jason's body were shattered and reorganized. This kind of pain was like thousands of knives cutting all over Jason's body. The constant stirring made people miserable. However, this was not the most painful thing. The most painful thing was the pain caused by the bloodline jump, which came directly to the soul, making it difficult for Jason to resist. Jason was in pain all over and wished he could pass out, but this physical evolution made his will particularly clear. His fists were clenched tightly, and his nails dug deeply into his palms, but he still didn't notice it. Boom! An inexplicable force instantly spread to Jason's spiritual sea. When the seventh restriction was opened, that special force made Jason extremely bellicose and regarded all the people in the world as ants. Looking at all the lives in the world, his whole spirit and temperament have also become arrogant, domineering, perverse and fierce. After he became the core disciple, he caused a bloody storm in the Sky City. But this time, compared with the last time, this power has changed tremendously, making Jason's temperament become deeper, more stable and noble. This feeling, Jason gritted his teeth, resisting the pain, and at the same time feeling the changes in his body. The cells became stronger and more perfect, and the blood became purer, almost reaching its limit. As the blood concentration increased, Jason felt that there was a huge force in his body, gradually awakening, and was on the verge of awakening. This force is so powerful that even Jason's strong dog is like an ant under the dragon in the face of this force, with no will to resist at all. However, at the moment when this powerful force was on the verge of awakening, Jason's blood-blowing evolution was completed. He was still just a little short of awakening. However, now, it can only quietly dormant again. The sharp pain disappeared, and Jason let out a long breath. He looked down and saw that the robe on his body had been completely shattered by the power inadvertently released during the previous evolution, and there was a thick layer on his body. The black flowers exude a fishy smell. This Jason's expression was a little dull. His body had been washed and marrowed many times and reborn, and it had reached the 9th level of low-level strength. In Jason's mind, it was extremely clean. But I didn't expect that this time of evolution, my body would be able to excrete so many impurities. Finally, I got through it again. Jason gathered his mind, and under the control of his spiritual consciousness, the water elements of Quanliang condensed, forming streams of water that flowed around his body. In an instant, the layer on the surface of his body was the smelly black impurities were thoroughly washed away, revealing fair, smooth, almost transparent, flawless skin. At the same time, Jason's spiritual consciousness also sensed the changes in his body. Jason was stunned by this perception, with a look of extreme surprise on his face. This when the body of the 5 elements I have actually become the body of the 5 elements. Even though Jason had seen a lot, when he felt the changes in his body, Zhong still couldn't help but murmur, his expression completely petrified. This really surprised Jason. In his perception, his body had a unique change after this transformation. A strange 5-element power circulated in his body, and everything in his body, the cells, are breathing, greedily absorbing the 5 elements of spiritual power in the body. Jason, who was a 9th-level elixir master in his previous life, had a very clear understanding of some physiques on the mainland, and these special physiques would become a complex subject in later generations. In this world, there are many special physiques. Among them, some are powerful, some are average, some are good, some are bad, and some are even more despairing. But among all the physiques, the one recognized by later generations as the strongest is the legend. The 5 elements constitution in it. The 5 elements physique is a physique with a particularly strong understanding of the 5 elements. Lokun's wood spirit body is one of the 5 elements physiques. The laws of the wood element are far superior to those of ordinary spiritual masters, and the speed of cultivation is faster. It is 1,000 miles per day, far beyond what ordinary spiritual masters can match. In addition to the body of the wood spirit, the 5 elements physique also includes the body of the fire spirit, the body of the water spirit, the body of the gold spirit and the body of the earth spirit. These 5 spiritual bodies are collectively called the 5 elements physique and are the most powerful physiques on the mainland. In the memories that later generations of Jason knew, in the past 10,000 years, there had been a total of 7 people with 5-element physiques on the Stern continent. Among them, except for one who was an 8th-level emperor spiritual master, the remaining 6 people, in the end, they all grew up to be 9th-level Holy Spirit masters, dominating one side and extremely powerful. Therefore, on the Stern continent, the 5 elements physique is also called the body of a Holy Spirit master. Basically, as long as he does not die young and does not work hard, once he grows up, for spiritual masters with the 5 elements physique, the 8th-level Emperor spiritual master is the weakest realm, the vast majority are 9th-level Holy Spirit masters. This is the power of the 5-element physique, the first in the mainland. However, in the research of some scholars, it is believed that this scholar has a more powerful physique, that is, the body of the 5 elements. The so-called 5-element physique means that a person has 5 types of 5-element physiques. When all 5 are combined together, it is a standing body. As soon as this concept was proposed, there was an uproar in the spiritual master physique community on the mainland *****. It was believed that this kind of physique could not exist at all and could only exist as a theoretical concept. Think about it, just having one of the 5 elements physiques is very likely to eventually grow into a 9th-level Holy Spirit master. So, when a person gathers all 5 elements physiques into one body, how powerful is this? How far can it grow in the future? Under the last change of the 7th level restriction, although Jason's body has changed greatly, and the leap in his bloodline has greatly improved his talent in cultivation, it has not reached the level of Lokan Muling. However, this time, after Jason unlocked the 8th restriction, the blood in his body jumped again, completely reaching the level of Lokan's wood spirit body, and once he reached it, he reached all 5 types, allowing Jason to send himself was very shocked. In other words, Jason now has 5 types of physiques, wood spirit body, fire spirit body, golden spirit body, earth spirit body, and water spirit body. Each of these can allow an ordinary spiritual master to advance. 9th-level Holy Spirit masters are now together in Jindu, and Jason doesn't know how strong such a physique is. Because in history, such a physique has never appeared. Let alone the body of the 5 elements, the body of 2 spirits and the body of 3 spirits have never appeared. Is this true? In order to prevent himself from misunderstanding, Jason also deliberately observed one side again, but there was still no change. In Jason's perception, he had indeed reached all the standards of the 5 elements body, and now he was a Jason, a 9th-level elixir master, would never admit his mistake in this regard. Let me feel how powerful this 5-element body is, right? After feeling his body carefully, Jason's eyes were full of joy, and he couldn't wait to sit down cross-legged in the room, and then run the spiritual god technique and absorb the spirit elements from the surrounding heaven and earth. Crash! When Jason was running the spiritual god technique, the endless 5-element spiritual power in the world became violent. In Jason's perception, a large number of 5-element spirit 20 elements quickly gathered into elemental rivers. They rushed towards their own place crazily. Like a tide, the 20 elements of the 5-element spirit wash into one's own body, constantly forming streams of spiritual power, like a river flowing into the sea. Under the transformation of the spiritual god art, it becomes one's own spiritual power. Is this the body of the 5 elements? Jason was completely stunned when he felt that there were an unknown number of more spirit 20 elements than usual, pouring into his body crazily. Although the City of Chaos is the place with the most abundant elements in the entire Chaos territory, it is only twice that of a normal place. However, at this moment, Jason can absorb spiritual power 10 times as fast as a normal spiritual master, and this is still in the territory of Chaos. Jason could not have imagined that if he returned to the island of transformation, practicing under the 10 times the 5-needle spiritual power isolated by the Juetian Great Formation and the 5 elements transformation formation, he would be able to practice at a speed as high as how fast. What surprised Jason even more was his understanding of the law. In the past, Jason's talents were already extremely strong after being washed away and reborn, and his understanding of cultivation reached an extremely astonishing level. However, in terms of understanding the laws, Jason also there is a feeling of seeing flowers in the mist, an extremely hazy feeling. But now, in Jason's perception, the 5 elemental laws are like 5 color ribbons, constantly appearing in front of his eyes, full of mystery. At this moment, he is like a tall man wearing glasses. With myopia, everything that was originally blurry in the outside world suddenly becomes extremely clear. If 10 times the spiritual power absorption speed can only give Jason an advantage in the process of breaking through from a level C to reaching the peak, then the strengthening of the understanding of the law has given Jason a complete lead at the starting line. Countless people. At this moment, Jason finally knew that 6 of the 7 5-element physiques in his previous life were able to advance to the 9th level of the Holy Spirit Master. If he had such an advantage and could not advance to the 9th level of the Holy Spirit Master, it can only be said that this spiritual master is really good. He is too lazy and his character is too bad. And all of this is just because of the changes in the bloodline caused by that strange power. Opening his eyes, he came back from his training and looked at the red dragon crystal jade box in his hand. There was a trace of confusion in Jason's eyes. When he first got the red dragon crystal jade box in the Kingdom of Orlando, Jason felt a little curious about the 9th level jade and box stored in the jade chamber of the Kingdom of Orlando by his family ancestors, but as the red dragon crystal jade box, the restrictions in the dragon crystal jade box were opened layer by layer, but Jason was completely shocked. Whether it was the special power that could not be awakened or the benefits that the bloodline improvement brought to him, Jason Rabbit was completely surprised. This is not to say that Jason is making a fuss. As a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, he is well informed, but this method of changing the body through blood changes and finally evolving the body into a 5-element body. Even Jason himself, who was a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, found it difficult to do this. What exactly is stored in this red dragon crystal jade box? Just opening the 8th level of restrictions will allow my talent to reach this level. So what if I open the 9th level of restrictions? Jason? Zhong murmured. He already couldn't imagine this situation when he opened the 9th level red dragon crystal jade box, and what was stored in the jade box. Every time he gets to know the red dragon crystal jade box in depth, Ranson looks forward to the final result even more. In the days that followed, Jason practiced with great concentration in the City of Chaos. Now that he had the body of the 5 elements, he greedily comprehended the 5 elements' laws between heaven and earth, so that he could take a step closer to the strength of the 5 elements. When he advanced to the 8th level Emperor Spirit Falcon, Jason's understanding of the law of the 5 elements reached a deeper level, and studying elemental wards also allowed Jason to reach an astonishing level in terms of elemental control and mystical power. Depth. But understanding comes from understanding. Only by being able to truly apply mystical skills in battle can one truly improve one's strength. Jason knew this very well. For 2 people with the same understanding of the law, one can apply the understanding of the law to combat, and the other cannot. There is a huge difference in combat effectiveness. The laws of elements are just materials, and the use of mysteries is the polishing of materials. Polishing them into weapons for different people has naturally different lethality. Now, in order to polish the mysteries of elements that he has understood, Jason has completely fell into practice. After becoming the body of the 5 elements, Jason felt that he was closer to nature than ever before. At this moment, he could clearly feel the mystery of the 5 elements' laws, leaving traces in his heart. He constantly evolved and simulated mysterious attacks in his mind, entering a state of selflessness. In this way, Jason went into seclusion directly in the City of Chaos. He closed his eyes tightly and sat cross-legged. His spiritual consciousness and perception were completely integrated into the rich spiritual energy, and he felt all the laws of the 5 elements. He had been sitting here for 2 full months. During this period, he had not touched a blow. However, the spiritual energy in his body was getting stronger, and 5 color rays of light continued to flow from the surface of his body. This 5 color light was very weak at the beginning, but in the end, it became more and more powerful, and finally turned into a dazzling 5 color sun, blooming in the room. Finally, one day 2 months later, Jason's closed eyes suddenly opened. He stood up suddenly. He took a step forward and disappeared into Fongran. After a moment, Jason's figure quietly appeared on a plain outside the City of Chaos. As soon as Jason's figure appeared on the plain, he started to wander around. Wherever the footsteps went, ripples continued to ripple out, and the profound laws of the 5 elements circulated, giving people an indescribable feeling of the Great Road. The birth of metal, the death of metal, the birth of wood, the death of wood, the birth of water, the death of water, the birth of fire, the death of fire, the birth of earth, the death of earth. After advancing to the 8th level of the low-level Emperor, spiritual master, for a moment, the profound meaning of life and death of the 5 elements that Jason had understood in his mind continued to circulate in his mind. The profound laws were connected in his mind and turned into a great avenue. A 5-color divine light shot out from Jason's eyes, and Jason started practicing directly in the valley. Boom! 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 Jason punched the ground and volleyed, testing some unknown moves, integrating all his understanding of the 5 elements law into this punch attack. No. Jason shook his head and punched again. Boom! With this blow, his right fist turned into gold. The fist seemed to be extremely soft, but it gave people a sharp and indestructible feeling. The fist stopped, and the space was like paper, and a huge gap was opened. The gap in space revealed a dark space crack, in which astonishing space turbulence continued to flow, exuding an aura of destruction. It still doesn't work. The law of life and death of gold is not completely integrated. Jason shook his head and murmured in his mouth. He didn't feel any pride at the blow that easily broke through the void. He fell into deep thought again, thinking the law of birth and death of gold must be completely integrated. In this way, Jason was completely immersed in the understanding of moves and kept experimenting. The mystery of the 5 elements law quickly passed through his mind. Jason experimented again and again, trying to combine them all together and do it at will. Continuous improvement. Time passes day after day like running water. Jason, who was completely immersed in cultivation, didn't notice the flow of time at all. He was completely immersed in the ocean of enlightenment. Because he broke the 8th layer of restrictions, he had an unprecedented devotion to the body of the 5 elements. This was a state of selflessness. The 5 elements body allows Jason to clearly feel the changes in the laws of the body. Test after test also brings Jason closer to his goal. On a plain outside the City of Chaos, Jason struck out with his right fist again. His right fist moved slowly like a big millstone, but in fact it was as fast as lightning. When the fist struck out, the void was shattered, and a long line appeared. A space of more than 10 feet was opened. A rumbling sound spread quickly, shaking everything. And Jason's right fist also flashed 3 rays of light, green and yellow. The impact of this punch, the attack actually contains the mysterious laws of the 3 attributes of wood, water and earth, and is perfectly combined. Drink! Jason punched out and shouted loudly again. Pung! This time, Jason's right fist flashed with 3 rays of gold, red, and yellow. In the void in the distance, a spherical space hole, with a diameter of several feet, suddenly appeared. A series of powerful spiritual powers, as if the disturbed lake surface rippled in, and everywhere ripples appeared, the void was fragmented, directly shattered and shattered. This punch contains 3 mysteries of gold, fire, and earth. Jason completely combined these 3 mysteries. After more than a month of testing the moves, Jason no longer sticks to the mysterious laws of birth and death of a single attribute. In this more than a month, He has integrated the laws of the five elements he has understood into the mysterious laws of birth and death of each attribute. On the other hand, he has exerted it to the extreme, completely integrating the law of life and the law of destruction, but he is not satisfied yet. Although the individual law of life and death is powerful, it has not yet reached Jason's requirements. His request is to combine this. The laws of birth and death of the five attributes are completely integrated. The five elements are mutually reinforcing and interfering, and they all have some special connection with each other. It is through this connection that Jason combines the laws of birth and death of the five attributes, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 and 4, and finally completely mixed together. Jason was completely silent. Time passed by. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. The birth of gold, the destruction of gold. Jason shouted loudly and punched out. The infinite golden spiritual power boiled, destroying everything. Countless golden sword shadows collided between the sky and the earth, lingering and flowing around Jason's fist, releasing extremely powerful power. The birth of wood, the destruction of wood. The lush green wood spiritual power annihilated everything and fell from the sky, rendering the world into a bright past, bringing infinite vitality and destruction. The birth of water, the destruction of water. The monstrous flood is like a flash flood, annihilating everything, but it is also full of vigorous vitality, bringing endless hope and life to people. The birth of fire, the death of fire. Boom. As if a gunpowder barrel was instantly detonated, the void turned into a sea of flames, and a flame thousands of feet long rushed into the sky, setting the world on fire. The birth of earth, the destruction of earth. Miming's earth element covered the heaven and earth, completely covering up the rays of the scorching sun. It was like a sandstorm blew through the entire chaotic territory, and everything disappeared. On the plains of the territory of chaos, Jason's body wandered around, naturally displaying all the laws of life and death of the five elements. The five elements come and go, and the laws last forever. Jason shouted loudly, and 5 colors of divine light bloomed in his eyes. Boom. At this moment, there seemed to be a ray of light that penetrated his mind and illuminated his mind. Jason's heart was shocked, and an inexplicable realization rose from his heart, like an enlightenment. Throughout the past and future, the 5 attributes are completely connected together to create a unique attack law. Boom. In an instant, the whole world was rioting. The 20 elements of the endless 5 elements spirit poured into Jason's body like a flood. In an instant, the spiritual power throughput in Jason's body increased by nearly 10 times. It was powerful. The coercion dissipated, and the world seemed to tremble. One of the 5 elements' laws of life and death, destroy the heaven and destroy the earth. Jason shouted loudly, his eyes were like lightning, bursting with light, his hands were like turning millstones, pushing slowly, and the spiritual power in his body boiled instantly and spurted out. Boom. Endless spiritual power spurted out from Jason's hands, like a colorful divine rainbow, breaking through the void. The space collapsed. Wherever the divine rainbow went, the void continued to collapse and destroy. Everything has an invisible existence. The spiritual power in Jason's body suddenly disappeared. He inhaled and tightened his abdomen, moved his steps lightly, and stood up slowly. His long black hair was shawl, and his eyes were shining. He just stood proudly, but he gave people inexplicable pressure. I finally succeeded in studying the law of the 5 elements birth and death. Jason murmured, looking at his own hands, with a trace of surprise in his hateful eyes. 4 months after Jason studied the law of birth and death of the 5 elements, Jason finally completely integrated the law of birth and death of the 5 elements together and created his most powerful mysterious attack so far, which filled Jason's heart with joy. The birth and death of the 5 elements, the birth and death of the 5 elements. It's really scary, Jason whispered. Even he himself was a little shocked by the power of the mysterious attack of the birth and death of the 5 elements he created. Group. On the plain, Jason's figure disappeared instantly, and a moment later, he appeared in the Kongsi family mansion in the City of Chaos. After appearing, the first thing Jason did was to call Wayne, Archimedes, Loken and others to his room. It has been more than half a year since Jason returned to the territory of Chaos. For more than half a year, Jason has been in the territory of Chaos and has never returned to the Rainbow Tower. Moreover, it has been a year since Jason left the Alchemist Tower. Jason plans to return to the Rainbow Tower today, and then apply to the Alchemist Tower to return to the tower. When Jason was willing to come out of the Alchemist Tower, in addition to visiting Loken in the Salem Empire and Archimedes and his father in the Chaos Territory, it was also because he had reached the 7th level of advanced strength and had to come out. He can leave, but he can gain enlightenment and advance to the 8th level of the Imperial Spiritual Master. Now Jason has advanced to the 8th level of the low-level Emperor Spirit Master. He has elemental barriers, his bloodline has been improved, and he has created the strongest 5-element law of life and death. His strength has reached 1. Now he needs to do, which is to absorb a large amount of spiritual 20 elements and rush the spiritual power in one's body to the peak of the 8th level low level as quickly as possible. Although Jason's physique has become a powerful 5-element body, under ordinary circumstances he can absorb spiritual power 10 times faster than an ordinary spiritual master, but this also leads to his desire to reach the peak of the 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master. The amount of spiritual power far exceeds that of ordinary spiritual masters. Therefore, returning to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower and cultivating on the God Transformation Island where the concentration of the 5 elements spiritual power is 10 times that of the outside world is the fastest way for Jason to absorb spiritual power. Moreover, in order to prepare the formula for his father that can break through to the 9th level of the holy level, the elixir of medicine also requires a large amount of rare elixir materials. These elixir materials can only be found in the Tianlu Elixir Tower, which is the holy land of Tianlu Elixir Masters. Wayne, you should stay in the territory of Chaos from now on. We need you, a 9th level Holy Spirit Master, to be here. Archimedes, please study elixirs carefully for me. I hope that when I see you next time, you can give me a surprise. As for you Loco Ghost, Jason thought for a moment and said, you come back to the Salem Empire with me. In the heavenly hall of the Khan's family's mansion, Jason arranged for everyone one by one. People. Wayne and the others all nodded without any objection. After hearing the news that Jason was leaving, they were reluctant to leave. However, knowing Jason's identity, they didn't say much. After arranging things in the territory of Chaos, Jason completely let himself go for 3 days to accompany Wayne, Archimedes, and the others. 3 days later, Jason and Loken flew away from the territory of Chaos and flew towards the province of Londo. Province of London, Tower of Rainbow. Lord Jason, have a good journey. No matter who comes from the Alchemist Tower in the future, in our hearts, you will always be the greatest president of our Rainbow Tower. At the entrance of the Rainbow Tower, the 3 managers of the Rainbow Tower Lures, Alberta, and Darat, as well as the guard commander Jane and others, all looked at Jason with tears in their eyes, and their eyes were full of reluctance. When Jason and Loken went from the Rondo province to the City of Chaos, it took the 2 of them more than half a month to reach the territory of Chaos, all because Loken was the one who the 7th level high-level Imperial Spiritual Master is not very fast. Now, after Loken was promoted to the 8th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, it only took the 2 of them less than 10 days to return to the Rainbow Tower. What Jason didn't expect was that during his absence for the past 6 months, the Rainbow Tower had completely become the leading power in the Salem Empire. Today, there is no province or power in the Salem Empire that does not know about the Rainbow Tower. Everything stems from the 3 super-effective healing potions that Jason gave Lures and the others, as well as the auction that Jason held in the Rondo province. Today's Rainbow Tower has cooperated with almost all the major forces in the Salem Empire. Its forces have developed rapidly, and its annual output has also reached an extremely astonishing figure. Even some forces outside the Salem Empire learned about the power of this super-effective healing potion, and sent people to buy it, and even inquired about the formula of the potion. However, the three lures resolutely took Jason's words to heart and did not disclose the formula at all. These three super-effective healing potions even attracted the attention of the spiritual pharmacist tower. An innovation in the formulation of low-level pharmaceutical treatments. According to rumors from the outside world, these three formulas were obtained by Jason in the Alchemist Tower and then spread. However, the senior officials in the Alchemist Tower naturally knew that this was purely a myth, and they also wanted to get it from Jason. These three recipes. With the status of the Alchemist Tower, if they really wanted these three formulas, they could directly ask for them from the three supervisors of lures. However, they were not so subtle when they learned that Jason was not in the Rainbow Tower and disappeared. The people who came to negotiate also returned to the tower, leaving only a message to be replied to when Jason came back. Jason returned to the Rainbow Tower, and after simply handling the affairs of the Rainbow Tower, he walked to President Coulson of the Salem Empire Spiritual Medicine Master Association and submitted his resignation as president of the Rainbow Tower. It has been over a year since he was released from the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. There is still about half a year left for the Holy Sun trials of major powers in the mainland. Jason, who has been promoted to the 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master, also wants to return to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower as soon as possible. Practice well on your own God Transformation Island and advance yourself to the 8th level Intermediate Emperor Spirit Master as soon as possible, and don't want to waste time elsewhere. Looking at the entrance of the Rainbow Tower, lures and others showed their true feelings. Jason also nodded, "Everyone, we will meet again later." Then, Jason and Loken left the Rainbow Tower and flew over towards the location of Tianhong City in Chi'er Province. 2 days later, Jason, who spent the night with the Mori family in Loken, Rainbow City, immediately left again. This time, he flew directly to the center of Qianlu, where Spirit Fighting City is Spirit Fighting Thief. The Elixir Tower in the Twin Tower Administrative Center of the Inner City serves the mainland. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a rosy face is handling the affairs of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower in Lingdo City. This person is the top manager dispatched by the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower in Lingdo City, and the 2 deputy palaces of the Management Hall of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. One of the masters is Deputy Palace Master Thomas, who is an 8th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Master. As the Deputy Master of the Management Hall and the actual manager of the Alchemist Tower in Spirit Do City, Thomas is also considered to have a high position of authority in the Alchemist Tower. Although he is not an 8th level Elixir Emperor, he is better than Coulson. The president of the 4 Imperial Elixir Master Unions and the 8th level low-level Elixir Emperor Master are not much weaker. Dong dong dong. Just as Thomas was quickly flipping through some recent information, there was a sudden knock on the door, interrupting Thomas's thoughts. "Come in." Thomas frowned and spoke. The door of the room suddenly opened, and immediately a staff member of the Elixir Tower quickly walked in and said respectfully, "Sir Thomas, there is someone outside the door asking to see you." "Is there someone asking to see you?" Thomas's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of impatience. "Didn't I tell you that I have a lot of things to deal with today? If it's not important, don't bother me?" "Sir Thomas, but that man is the core of our Elixir Tower." "Disciple," he said his name was Jason, and he took out the core disciple token of our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. The staff member hurriedly explained. "Jason?" Thomas's expression was stunned, and then he seemed to have thought of something. He stood up suddenly, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. It turned out to be him. Wasn't he sent out by the Elixir Tower to perform an external mission? Really? Is he back? Hurry, let him in quickly. Thomas said quickly. Thomas, who is the deputy master of the Elixir Medicine Tower Management Hall, naturally knows Jason's name. In just over a year after joining the Elixir Medicine Tower, he became a core disciple and even won the Elixir List competition in the Sky City. On the Elixir List, he defeated Edmits, who was ranked second in the previous Elixir List. Even Thomas, as the deputy head of the Elixir Tower Management Hall, would not dare to trust such a person. With Jason's strength, as long as he continues to stay in the Alchemist Tower, it is basically a certainty that he will be above him in the future. Under the guidance of the staff, Jason immediately walked in from the outside. Haha, Jason, didn't I hear that you were sent out on a field mission? Has the mission been completed? Come on, sit down quickly. Seeing Jason, Thomas stood up immediately, his face filled with joy. With a smile on his face, there was no airs at all, and his whole person was extremely enthusiastic. Indeed, although Thomas is the deputy master of the Elixir Master Tower Management Hall, his strength is only an 8th level Senior Emperor Spiritual Master and a 7th level Senior Elixir Imperial Master. And what about Jason? That was a figure that even Edmez, the 8th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Master ranked 2nd on the Elixir list, could be defeated. Moreover, it was said that when he was not a core disciple, he was in the Elixir City with the core disciple part. Luo conducted a spiritual elixir duel and prepared an 8th level Imperial elixir. Jason was stronger than Thomas in terms of both spiritual master and elixir prescription. In this world where strength is respected, Thomas naturally would not pretend. What a rack. Haha, Master Thomas, you're welcome. Seeing Thomas's politeness, Jason also laughed. The two parties sat down in the office and chatted casually for a while, before Jason immediately revealed his purpose. The location of the Alchemist Tower has always been a secret. Even if Jason knew the location of the space node where the Alchemist Tower is located, he would not be able to enter without the talisman distributed by the Alchemist Tower. Therefore, Jason wanted to return to the Alchemist Tower. You can come to the administrative center of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower in Spirit Do City. With Thomas's identity and current position, he naturally possesses the magic potion issued by the Elixir Medicine Master Tower. When Jason went out on a mission, he was also told that after completing the mission, if he wanted to return to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, he could go directly to the administrative center of Lingdo City. That's it. After hearing Jason's intention, Thomas immediately laughed. This is easy to handle. Now our Elixir Tower is holding the Elixir Genius competition within the jurisdiction of the Twin Towers, and a group of winners have already arrived at Spirit Do. Originally, the city was supposed to wait for the people who had stopped to enter. Now, let Guardian Li Rue, the person in charge of this genius competition, take you Jason and the group of geniuses who are already in Spirit Do City to enter the Spirit City first. Medicine Tower. Thomas said cheerfully. Shuangji Administrative Center, residential building adjacent to the Medicine Master Tower. Some figures were walking back and forth in the building one after another. There were not many in number, about 100 or so. Each of them was in their teens or early 20s. They looked extremely young, but they showed that the momentum cannot be underestimated, and the weakest one is also the 5th level Sect Spirit Master, while most of them are at the 6th level Sect Spirit Master, and a very small number have reached the 7th level Emperor Spiritual Master realm. Webb, how long do we have to wait? Protector Leary asked us to practice here, and we don't know when they will take us into the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. A man wearing a battle armor. The shirtless young man whispered. Next to him, there were 4 other men and women surrounding the red-haired young man in the center wearing a red robe. These 8 people. The red-haired young man was a 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master, and the 5 people around him were all 6th level Spiritual Masters. All 6 of them came from the same city within the jurisdiction of the Twin Towers. The Spiritual Medicine Master Genius competition held by the Medicine Master Tower this time is not over yet. We will not be brought into the Medicine Master Tower to become peripheral disciples and receive guidance and training until the Medicine Master Genius competition is completely concluded. The red-haired young man spoke indifferently. Although he is not the oldest among the 6 people, he, who is the number 1 genius in the city, is the backbone of the 6 people, and there are also people in his family who have become disciples of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, so for the Spirit Medicine Master Tower there is a certain understanding of the rules. Cousin. A clear voice sounded from the side. A girl with beautiful appearance and watery eyes couldn't help but said, "This elixir genius competition starts at the same time, but some cities have more people, and some cities have less people. The decision is after the victory or defeat. The time to rush to Lingdo City is also not long. I heard that there are still some cities that have not yet completed the selection and are still undergoing selection and duel. We have to wait for the selection of all cities to be completed and the spiritual medicine master genius competition to come to an end. Who knows how long it will take?" The beautiful girl pouted. "Cousin, do you want to violate the rules of the alchemist tower?" The red-haired young man turned his head and glanced at the girl beside him. The girl bit her lip and didn't dare to say anything more. "Wait slowly, there is no need to rush." The red-haired young man sighed. "When you enter the elixir master tower, you are only the lowest level peripheral disciples. You may be eliminated at any time. If you are in the mood to complain, why not practice hard and improve with your own strength? As long as you become inner disciples, you can truly become a member of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. By then, your family will be able to rise. If any of you can become a senior disciple, it will be even more incredible. The future prospects are limitless." The 5 people on the side all had bright eyes. Yes. When they enter now, they are the lowest level peripheral disciples and may be kicked out at any time. Only by becoming inner disciples can they truly belong to the spiritual medicine master tower. They all know that this young man's family once produced a high-level disciple of the spiritual medicine master tower, which made their family the #1 family in their city, with an appeal unmatched by others. Remember, don't conflict with others in the elixir master tower. There are many strong people there, and there are many masters, and everyone is arrogant. It is easy for conflicts to occur. You have no background in it. Once a conflict occurs, you will suffer a loss, so apart from cultivation, you don't have to worry about anything else. Only strength is the only thing that will last forever. Yes, I understand. The 5 people on the side nodded. Suddenly, one by one, everyone is going to the lobby, too. Listen, all the winners of this elixir genius competition are going to the lobby too. A loud noise suddenly sounded in the building, and several staff members of the elixir medicine tower were seen running quickly, shouting loudly. "What's going on?" These men and women looked at each other with a trace of doubt in their eyes. However, they did not dare to violate the rules of the spiritual medicine master tower, so they did not hesitate. Everyone stood up and quickly walked down the hall. Immediately, young figures walked out of the buildings on both sides of the hall. Under the leadership of the staff, they quickly came to the hall. "Webb, look over there, that's the white-robed deacon of the alchemist tower." The 6 Webbs, including the other nearly 100 winners of the alchemist talent competition present, were all shocked as they walked in from outside the hall. Dozens of white-robed deacons walked into the hall and stood at the door. "Stand respectfully." These white-robed staff are all white-robed deacons arranged by the spiritual medicine master tower in Lingdo City, and they have extremely high privileges within the jurisdiction of the Twin Towers. Each of them is a formal member of the alchemist tower. Even genius elders like Webu and the family patriarchs and city lords of various cities dare not offend them at all, let alone Webb, who are not even peripheral disciples for the time being. Forget about young people. So many white-robed staff? There must be 50 or 60, right? I'm afraid all the idle white-robed staff in the administrative center are here. What are so many white-robed deacons doing here? There were nearly 100 geniuses present. They all started whispering. "Look, someone is coming. It's Protector Li Rue and the others." The eyes of nearly 100 geniuses lit up. Outside the hall, a group of people slowly walked over. Among them was Protector Li Rue, who was in charge of their Elixir Master Genius competition and an 8th-level intermediate Emperor spiritual master. What surprised everyone was that in previous occasions, Protector Li Rue was definitely the person who sat at the first place and walked in the first position, but this time, Protector Leroy followed the two of them step by step. His expression was very respectful. One of them was a middle-aged man in a silver robe with a ruddy complexion, while the other was actually a young man with black hair who looked not much older than them, and even younger than a very small number of them. Sir Thomas. When the silver-robed middle-aged man walked into the hall, dozens of white-robed deacons who were already standing in the hall bowed slightly and spoke respectfully. Thomas nodded, and then entered the hall with Jason and others. Lord Thomas. It turned out to be Lord Thomas, the highest authority in Lingdo City, arranged by the Alchemist Tower. After hearing the names these white-robed deacons addressed the middle-aged man in silver robes, all the geniuses were excited. My heart was filled with shock. Thomas, as the highest officer assigned to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower in Spirit Do City, naturally heard about it. It was said that he was a palace master in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Even in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, his status was extremely noble. Jason, I still have something to do, so I can only send you here. Next time you come to Lingdo City, remember to meet me. As soon as Thomas walked into the hall, he said to Jason with an apologetic look on his face. He spoke. Master Thomas, you're welcome. Next time you return to the Alchemist Tower, you can come to the Sky City to find me. Jason also smiled. The conversation between the two people was clearly heard in the ears of everyone present. These geniuses' eyes widened in an instant, with surprise showing in their eyes. Who is this black-haired young man? Even Lord Thomas is so polite to him? A huge doubt floated in everyone's mind, and they all couldn't believe their own eyes. Nearly 100 geniuses did not dare to speak out, but murmured in their hearts, looking at Jason one by one. The usually aloof Protector Leary was as respectful as a grandson at this moment. At this moment, Thomas nodded to Leary in the crowd. Leary immediately left the team and came to the front of the hall. The entire hall was silent for a moment, and no one dared to speak. Listen up, everyone. Leary looked at the nearly 100 geniuses in front of him indifferently, because a core disciple of our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower has completed the task in the tower and is about to return to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Therefore, your batch of geniuses will have priority to win the competition. Contestants, you can follow us into the Alchemist Tower. Now, I will give you 10 minutes to organize your time. Come in immediately and prepare to enter. The Alchemist Tower. Yes. All the geniuses in the hall were delighted in their hearts, and then went one by one. Went to pack things. On the way over, they all made excited noises. It turned out to be a core disciple of the Alchemist Tower who completed the mission and returned to the Alchemist Tower. We are so lucky. We don't have to wait for the others who haven't finished the game yet. The red-haired young man Webb said excitedly. The other 5 geniuses next to them were also extremely happy. Among them, the girl who spoke out before said, "Cousin, who is that Jason? A core disciple, seems to have a very high status?" The core disciples of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower are the most amazing geniuses in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. The monsters among monsters are thousands of times stronger than us. I don't know what they are specifically. I only know that I want to be the core disciples must reach the 7th level of elixir master in terms of attainments in elixir science. The red-haired young man Webb said, but these are just ordinary core disciples, people who can be sent to Lord Thomas personally. According to me, it is estimated that Jason is definitely one of the most powerful beings even among the core disciples. At least he must be a 7th level high-level elixir master. After all, it is said that Sir Thomas himself is also a 7th level high-level elixir master. If without such strength, the two of them would not be able to walk side by side. 7th level senior elixir master? The remaining 5 people all stared wide-eyed. At the south gate of Lingdo City, Jason and Leary stood there quietly with their noses protected, looking at the nearly 100 geniuses in front of them. Jason, these are young geniuses selected from the cities within the jurisdiction of our twin towers. According to the rules we have established, elixir masters must reach the 4th level of elixir master. So among these geniuses, the lowest he is also a 4th level low-level elixir master, and his strength as a spiritual master ranges from a 5th level sect spiritual master to a 7th level imperial spiritual master. The burly guardian Li Rue explained with a smile, while carefully observing the hero in front of him. Senior. Jason's name is quite famous among the upper echelons of the Alchemist Tower. Although he has been in Lingdo City all year round, as a protector, he also knows that Jason has not been in the Elixir Master Tower for a long time. It only took 1 year to become a core disciple, and he even won the Elixir List competition. Defeated Edmitz, who was originally ranked 2nd, and swept the Invincible, making many people in the top management of the Alchemist Tower pay attention to Jason, and then he was sent out by the Alchemist Tower to perform external missions. He is very powerful and has an unlimited future. How could he, a protector of such a person, be neglectful? At the gate of the South City, after Leary explained the rules to all the genius disciples, he and Jason flew towards the Elixir Master Tower. Jason did not break the rules and make it difficult for Leary. Looking at the panting disciples behind him who could only rely on their own bodies and could not reach the Elixir Master Tower, Jason couldn't help but have a smile on his lips. He remembered that they had stood out from the Digi Elite competition. They were also led by Guardians Ruyan and What, and went to the Alchemist Tower. At that time, he was a 6th level high-level spiritual being. Master, now that I think about it, the original scene is still vivid in my mind. Jason and the others quickly entered the mountain forest in the south of Lingdo City. After a whole day of trekking, amidst the painful howls of countless genius disciples, Jason and the others arrived at the depths of the forest. A bottomless cliff appeared in front of Jason. Everyone, follow me next. Leary said from the cliff wall, and then, a green rune suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand and was thrown into the air. A faint spiritual power spread between the heaven and the earth. After the cyan rune was thrown out, it stretched into the wind and exuded an extremely rich spiritual power. Suddenly, in the canyon in front of everyone, a dazzling cyan light burst out. In an instant, it was like a scorching cyan sun suddenly appeared in front of them, piercing so hard that everyone covered their eyes. Then, another tremor came. In everyone's astonished gaze, a ray of blue light rose into the sky, extremely brilliant, conveying terrifying fluctuations in spiritual power. Jason, let's go, you all follow in. Protector Leary said to Jason, and then he and Jason jumped into the cliff in front of him. His body instantly merged into the green light, and then disappeared in front of everyone. Whoosh! 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 In an open space far away from the Elixir City, figures suddenly appeared. After seeing the countless miles of building complexes and magnificent buildings in front of them, these geniuses looked at the scene in front of them with shock on their faces. Jason, on the other hand, took a familiar breath of the abundant spiritual energy here. Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, I'm finally back. Jason said with pride in his heart. In the open space outside the Elixir City, the group of talented young people standing with Jason stared blankly at the countless miles of buildings in front of them, which stood like a mountain in the center of the Elixir City. Tower, feeling the spiritual energy in the surrounding air that was more than twice the concentration of the outside world, felt extremely shocked in my heart. Looking at the shocked expressions of these talented young people, Protector Leary couldn't help but grin. Haha, little guys, welcome to the Elixir Master Tower. And fellow contestants, you don't have to rush to absorb the Elixir 20 in the air for the time being. Elements, you will live, practice, and grow here from now on. There will be a lot of time for you to practice. Moreover, here, the content of Spirit 20 elements in the outside world is actually the lowest. Our Spirit Medicine Master Tower has built a lot of special elements for practice. In places where the concentration of Spirit 20 elements is much richer and purer than here, there is no need for everyone to be in such a hurry. Watching everyone eager to absorb the spirit elements, Protector Leary smiled. Listening to Protector Leary's familiar words, Jason couldn't help but smile. Back then, they were just like these little guys, and they were extremely shocked by the elixir medicine tower they saw for the first time. Jason, I will take these little guys away first. Protector Leary looked at Jason and smiled. Jason nodded. Whoosh! A powerful spiritual power rushed out of his body instantly. Jason's figure blurred for an instant, and then gradually disappeared, and the whole person had disappeared without a trace. This Jason is indeed worthy of being the one who defeated Edmez. This kind of strength is really terrifying. With my 8th level intermediate Emperor spiritual master's strength, I couldn't even see his figure clearly. This is too much. It's scary. Looking at Jason's disappearing figure, Leary couldn't help but sigh. Master Leary, who is this Jason? Why is he so powerful? At this moment, someone in the crowd mustered up the courage to ask. Who is this Jason? Li Duan looked at the many contestants with puzzled faces and suddenly laughed. This Jason, like you, is a disciple of our spiritual medicine master tower. However, he joined our spiritual medicine master tower during the Continental Elite competition more than 2 years ago. At the time, he was the champion of the Continental Elite competition. And now, he is the top core disciple in our spiritual medicine master tower. More than a year ago, he had the strength of an 8th level senior imperial spiritual master. Do you think he is strong or not? Protector Li Rue sighed with emotion. As soon as the words fell, the whole person turned into a stream of light and flew towards the building not far away. Nearly 100 contestants were left standing there dumbfounded. In the Elixir City, Jason flew across the sky quickly. In an instant, he appeared in the Elixir City and landed directly in the senior disciple area. Looking at the familiar villa, Jason walked forward with a smile on his face. Just when Jason B walked to the door, the originally closed door of the villa opened, and a strange young man walked out of the villa instantly. Excuse me, who are you? Seeing a person standing at the door, the young man immediately showed a trace of doubt on his face and asked. Jason's head immediately wrinkled. Isn't this the Rongxing's villa that I remember before? Where are the others? You mean Mr. Rongxing? Mr. Rongxing was promoted to the 7th level elixir master half a year ago, and has passed the assessment to become a core disciple. Rongxing has become a core disciple? Jason was stunned, and then his face changed. A smile appeared on his face. Then do you know the news about Claire, Leonardo, and Sophia who are with the melting saint Jason? Suddenly, a surprised voice sounded in Jason's ears. Jason immediately turned around and saw that not far away, Sri Lanka was looking at him in disbelief, with endless joy in his eyes. Sri Lanka. Seeing this old friend from the northwest countries with him, Jason also smiled. The two came together quickly, with a hint of joy in their eyes. Jason, you go sit in my villa first, and I will notify Kiros immediately. Sri Lanka said excitedly. In the living room of Sri Lanka's villa, Jason, Sri Lanka, and Kiros sat together. There were only 3 of them in the entire wide hall. In addition, Claire, Melting Saint, Leonardo, and Sophia, but Temujin and Dinisha were not there. Sri Lanka, Kiros, why are you 2 alone? Where are Claire and the others? Looking at Sri Lanka and Kiros in front of him in the hall, Jason couldn't help but wonder. After meeting Sri Lanka, he originally thought that Sri Lanka would bring everyone here, but he did not expect that in the end, only Kiros came, and, Wings Update Team, Claire and the others did not show up. When Jason feeling extremely confused. Sensing Jason's doubts, Sri Lanka and Kiros looked at each other, and both of them smiled immediately. Jason, except for me and Sri Lanka, Claire and the others have all entered the Sky City to practice. Kiros said with a smile. Clea and the others have all entered the Sky City? What's going on? In the dog hall, the confusion on Jason's face became even more overwhelming. Rongxing was promoted to the 7th level low-level elixir master and became a core disciple. That's normal. Claire and the others are all spiritual masters, so how can they enter the Sky City? Jason was very puzzled. Jason, the thing is like this, after you left immediately, Kiros began to slowly talk about what happened after Jason left as Kiros told, so that's it, it's like this is really after listening to Kiros's story, Jason shook his head, his expression was very speechless and emotional. It turns out that during the more than a year since Jason left, Jason entrusted Claire and the others to Lanuigusan and Cassinus, and both of them became famous among the core disciples. Support, Leonardo, and the others have made rapid progress in strength, and they are all Emperor spiritual masters who have been promoted to the 8th level in succession. Among them, the first ones to advance to the 8th level low-level Imperial spiritual master were not Leonardo and Sophia, who were the first to reach the 7th level high-level Imperial spiritual master, but Jason's maid Claire. At the beginning, after Jason left, Claire practiced hard and forgot to eat and sleep every day. She did not do anything except practice. In just 3 months, Claire became a 7th level high-level Imperial spirit master. He broke through the 8th level threshold in one fell swoop and became an 8th level low-level Emperor spiritual master. Originally, after Claire was promoted to the 8th level Imperial spiritual master, she was planning to apply to leave the Medicine Master Tower and go to the Salem Empire to look for Jason. However, she was persuaded by Lanuigusan and the others. Instead of leaving, she applied to become the protector of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. In the following time, following Claire, Leonardo, and Sophia, who were promoted to the 8th level 1 month after Claire, also continued to stay in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, applied to become the protector of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Then, there were Temujin and Denisha. In the 2nd month after Jason left, the two of them hit the realm of 7th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Masters, and then in 2 months before that, he became an 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master. From the 7th level high-level Imperial Spiritual Master to the 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master, it only took them 1 year to apply to become the protectors of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. As for Rongsheng, he was promoted to the lower 7th level of the Elixir Master 6 months ago, became the core disciple of the Elixir Master Tower, and entered the Sky City. In addition to the Elixir Master Melting Saint who was promoted to the 7th level low-level Elixir Emperor Master, in terms of alchemy attainments, the Melting Saint who was originally the 7th level low-level Alchemy Emperor was promoted to the 7th level high-level Alchemy Emperor. His strength was 6 months ago. He is also an Imperial Spiritual Master who has reached the 7th level. Colossus and Sri Lanka have also made huge progress. In more than a year, Kiros, who was originally a 7th level Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master, became a high-level Imperial Spiritual Master. However, he failed to break through to become an 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master and became the protector of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Sri Lanka, who was originally a 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, has also been promoted to a 7th level high-level Imperial Spiritual Master. In terms of attainments in elixir science, he was originally a 6th level low-level elixir master, and he has reached the 6th level high-level elixir master, but still failed to break through to the 7th level low-level elixir master and became the core disciple of the Elixir Master Tower. The rapid improvement of Claire's strength made Jason feel a little embarrassed. The 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master was not an ordinary threshold. Even with his talent, even though it was said to be multi-attribute restricted, it took more than a year. Time is the key to advancing from the 7th level high level to the 8th level low level, and with the talent of Loken's wood spirit body, it also took more than a year to advance from the 7th level high level to the 8th level low level. Now Leonardo and the others have grown up. It was so fast that Jason couldn't help but be surprised. Fortunately for Claire, the talent shown in her is the strongest that Jason has ever seen in 2 lifetimes. She even has no bottlenecks in Loken's wood spirit body. Jason was still a little unsure about the promotion, but the promotion of Leonardo and Sophia, and even Temujin and Denisha were promoted to the 8th level low-level Emperor Spirit Master, which made Jason almost speechless. But later, after learning about the training they had experienced over the past year, Jason completely understood the reason. It turned out that not long after Jason left, Claire and the others fell into crazy practice, and because Jason entrusted them to Lanuigusan and Cassinus before leaving, the two of them did not leave until Jason left. After leaving, special training was given to everyone. With the support and training of their two masters ranked first and second on the elixir list, Claire and the others don't have to worry about points at all. They test every day on the trial island with the highest concentration of spiritual energy. At the same time, Lanuigusan and Cassinus also prepared a huge amount of spiritual potions for everyone to take to improve their strength. Among them, there were even some 8th-level Emperor-level spiritual potions. This situation is what caused such a huge change for everyone. It turns out that Leonardo and the others have taken a lot of elixirs prepared by Wings Update Team, Blue Moongusan and Kakinas. Knowing this, Jason suddenly realized. No wonder they advanced so quickly. Soon. Lanuigusan and Cassinus are both 8th-level elixir masters, and there are so many 8th-level elixirs planted by Lanuigusan in the 9 spirits chi gathering formation of Huashan Island. As long as the two of them willing enough to be able to prepare some extremely powerful cultivation potions to allow everyone to break through. In fact, if Jason were willing to take the spiritual potion, when Jason first met Luo Kuan, he could directly promote Luo Kuan, who was a 7th-level high-level Imperial Spiritual Master, to a low-level 8th-level Emperor Spiritual Master. It's just that he didn't take such an approach. But Claire and the others are all spiritual masters, so how can they enter the Sky City? Immediately, Jason couldn't help but have another doubt in his mind. Even if they have advanced to the 8th level of low-level Imperial Spiritual Masters, became the protector of the Alchemist Tower, but he is not an alchemist after all? Jason murmured, but when he finished speaking, he laughed again when he thought of something. I almost forgot that with Lanuigusan here, it is normal for Claire and the others to be able to enter the Sky City. Lanuigusan's identity is extremely special in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Even the 4 elders of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, he also cares for her very much. Although the Sky City is where the core disciples are, there are also many 8th-level Imperial Spiritual Masters in the core palace to protect them. As Lanuigusan, he wants to arrange for Claire and the others to become protectors in the sky. The city is not particularly difficult. After learning the news about Claire and the others, Jason was relieved. Then he and Kiros briefly told what happened in the Salem Empire and what happened to his father Eludiba before leaving. He entered the villa area of the senior disciples and flew directly to the Xiling Medicine Master Tower. In a moment, Jason appeared directly on the 6th floor of the Elixir Master Tower. After showing his core disciple token, the staff on the 6th floor immediately activated the teleportation array to enter the Sky City. In a burst of white light, Jason suddenly appeared on a huge island. What caught Jason's eyes was a vast expanse of white clouds. Amidst the steaming sea of clouds in the distance, there was a building looming in Inbua, where the city in the sky was located. City in the sky. Jason murmured in his mouth, the Wing Spread Update group has the fastest update, and with a movement of his body, he turned into a rainbow and flew towards the city in the distance. Jason did not go directly to Huashan Island. Now that he knew the news about Claire and the others from Kiros and the others, Jason was not in a hurry. With the care of Lanuigusan and Cassinus, Jason could not have thought of it. Which disciple in this Sky City dares to bully Claire and the others? So the first thing Jason did when he returned to the Sky City was to report back to the core hall and assign the Elixir Master Tower to his own tasks. Submit. City in the Sky, Core Palace. It is afternoon, the most comfortable time of the day. Many idle core disciples like to gather in the core hall at this time, watching the tasks that are refreshed every day, and asking each other for some news. Whether it is on the square outside the main hall or in the hall inside the main hall, there are many disciples communicating with each other. Have you heard that senior brother Edmes finally mastered his moon-level high-grade technique, the extermination gold holy technique, to great success a month ago? Rumor has it that he practiced it in the mansion of Jutian Peak. When he reached great success, the sky and the earth changed color. A golden sword light soared into the sky, splitting the entire Jutian Peak into two halves with one sword. One side was completely reduced to powder by the cutting of the metal spiritual power, while the other half was unscathed. The cut surface is as smooth as a mirror. It's absolutely terrifying. Yes, I have also heard that the holy art of extermination gold is one of the most peak techniques that is disclosed to the disciples in the core hall of our spiritual medicine master tower. Normally, it is difficult for gold disciples to practice it, but it was actually practiced by senior brother Edmes. The peak and senior brother Edmes had already broken through the 8th level advanced Imperial Spirit Master 3 months ago and reached the peak of the 8th level. Now, I don't know how powerful senior brother Edmes is. Yes, senior brother Edmes has always been one of the most powerful figures among our core disciples. Now that the genius trials of the major forces in Inyalu are about to begin, it seems that senior brother Edmes will be in the trial. That's why he worked so hard. You're wrong. Edmes has been practicing so hard for more than a year. Although there are reasons for this, it is not the main reason. Yes, it was the last elixir list competition. Senior brother Edmes was defeated by senior brother Jason. After brother Edmes recovered from his injury, he did not rest at all, but directly entered the killing abyss to practice, and then he has been practicing between the trial secret realm and the killing abyss. For more than a year, brother Edmes' days in the Sky City are numbered, so his strength has changed by leaps and bounds. I think Edmes has improved by leaps and bounds. Master Hay has never forgotten the last battle on the elixir list. He wants to defeat senior brother Jason and get back his own throne. Indeed, it's just a short time since senior brother Jason left the elixir master tower and executed the instructions in the tower. More than a year has passed since the mission he arranged. In less than half a year, there will be a trial match for the geniuses of several major forces in Tianlu. It is estimated that senior brother Jason will return to the tower soon, and he does not know how this year has passed. How far has senior brother Jason's strength reached? Is he still above senior brother Edmes? I think, with senior brother Jason's talent, there must have been some progress over the past year, but the execution, how could he find so much time to practice for the task of the spiritual medicine master tower? Now senior brother Edmes has advanced to the 8th level of the Peak Emperor Spiritual Master. The wing-spreading update team is the fastest updated, and has perfected the Golden Saint technique of extinction. His strength is more than a star and a half stronger than before. At the beginning, senior brother Jason was only slightly better than senior brother Edmes in the spiritual medicine ranking competition, but now, I am afraid he is no longer as good as senior brother Edmes. In the hall of the core hall of the Sky City and the square outside, many core disciples were talking about it. The most sensational thing in the Sky City in the past 2 months was the completion of Edmes' extermination gold holy technique and the promotion of the Emperor to the 8th level. The spiritual master made many disciples envious and jealous. In today's spiritual medicine master tower, apart from Lan Yugusan and Cassinus, who was promoted to the 8th level peak imperial spiritual master half a year ago, Edmes was also promoted to the 8th level peak imperial spiritual master 3 months ago, became the 3rd disciple of the spiritual medicine master Pagoda to advance to the 8th level of the peak emperor spiritual master. Speaking of senior brother Jason, the melting saint who joined Sky City less than half a year ago and is said to be the son of senior brother Jason is also incredibly powerful. He has just been promoted to the 8th level emperor spiritual master for less than 3 months. Not long ago, there was a conflict with senior brother Canstone. As an 8th level intermediate emperor spiritualist and ranked 37 on the elixir list, senior brother Canstone was defeated without more than 10 moves on the opponent. He was so powerful that it was terrifying. Senior brother Canstone was really on the elixir list, but was defeated by senior brother Jason with 1 move. Now, even senior brother Jason's disciples are invincible. Although he is still on the elixir list, his reputation is not the same. But it's a shame. I heard that senior brother Canstone still wants to regain his position. I don't want to see who is covering this melting saint. It's okay if senior brother Canstone doesn't cause trouble. If he does, keep it safe. He died in an ugly way. There are also several guardians who are said to be senior brother Jason's friends in the Elixir City. They are also quite unfaithful, especially one of them, a beautiful woman named Claire, who was shot, not long ago. She has just been promoted to the 8th level Intermediate Emperor, Spiritual Master, but a disciple saw her violently kill an 8th level Emperor, Spiritual Beast, with the strength of an 8th level Senior Emperor, Spiritual Master, in the secret trial realm. These people listen to this. It is said that they all live on the God Transformation Island of Senior Brother Jason, Senior Sister Lanuigusan, and Senior Brother Cassinus often give them pointers, and it is difficult not to improve their strength quickly. But the really powerful ones in our Elixir Tower are the top 20 monsters on the Elixir list. For the trial of genius disciples from major powers in the mainland in half a year, the real masters in our Elixir Tower have fallen silent and all entered. He entered the killing abyss and the secret realm of trial, in order to improve his strength. Before the trial comes, just as many disciples were talking about it, there was a sudden whoosh. A 5-color stream of light came from the sky. It struck like lightning. At first, this stream of light was still in the distant sky, but the next moment, it had already appeared on the square outside the core hall. The terrifying pressure suddenly dispersed from this figure. Who is it? Seeing the speed of this figure, all the core disciples present could not help but be startled. Although there were not really top experts in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, ranking in the top 20, there were also some. The wing spreading update group is updated the fastest. Many of the 20-something experts on the Elixir list are 8th level Intermediate Emperor Spiritual Masters. However, due to their strength, they were unable to see the appearance of this figure. Let them not be frightened in their hearts. In their shocked eyes, the 5-color divine light on the figure dissipated, revealing a face that was familiar to almost everyone and was unforgettable. Jason, it's Senior Brother Jason. It turns out to be Senior Brother Jason. Didn't he hear that he was sent to the Elixir Master Tower to perform a mission? It seems that Senior Brother Jason has returned from a mission. If when Senior Brother Z learns that Senior Brother Jason is back, will there be a big war? I wonder if anyone will inform Senior Brother Edmis? Looking at the coercion emanating from Senior Brother Jason's strength seems to be getting stronger. For a moment, the entire core hall seemed to explode, boiling completely. Jason's reputation in the Sky City was so great that his appearance would definitely cause an uproar in the Sky City. Amid the discussions of countless core disciples, Jason slowly walked directly into the core hall without any expression. The unusual movement in the square also alarmed some of the guardians in the core hall. Suddenly, a large group of people walked out of the core hall in a mighty manner. Haha, Jason, it's you. You're back. The mission has been successfully completed, right? A hearty laughter suddenly resounded in the core hall. Among the several guardians, the leader was the one who still had a good relationship with Jason. A pretty good protector of Mingxi. Protector Mingxi. Seeing Mingxi, Jason also laughed. I am back in the Sky City. I wonder if Lord Basit of the core hall and others are there? Jason, you come in first. Mang, wing spreading update team, Protector. She immediately welcomed Jason into the core hall, and then took Jason directly to the depths of the core hall. The two of them walked in a hurry, and in a moment they arrived at the entrance of a hall, deep in the core hall. It was the same hall where Jason first met Elder Waterfield. Jason, please go in and wait for a while. I will notify Lord Bast and the others immediately. After sending Jason here, Protector Mingxi smiled and backed away. Jason nodded, opened the door, and walked directly in. The whole hall was simple and grand, with an inexplicable aura that gave people a sense of profound heritage. Looking at this hall that he had been to twice before, he did not want to waste any time. At this time, Jason found a place in the dog hall and started practicing cross-legged. I don't know how long it took, but Jason suddenly heard a noise coming from his ears. Then, the door of the hall was pushed open instantly, and several figures walked in from outside the hall. Jason was awakened immediately. He stood up instantly and looked at these people. They were Elder Waterfield, Elder Coughlin, Master Pastor of the Core Hall, and Master Baptista of the Management Hall, whom he was familiar with. The Wing Spreading Update Team updates the fastest, Alphonsus, the Master of the Assessment Hall, and several people. Jason, are you working too hard? Seeing Jason still practicing so hard here, the leader, Elder Waterfield, suddenly laughed. A group of people sat behind the long table in the middle of the hall, all with smiles on their faces, and Elder Coughlin nodded to Jason with a friendly expression, his eyes full of relief and appreciation. Jason, have you advanced to the 8th level of the Imperial Spiritual Master? Elder Waterfield looked at Jason with bright eyes as soon as he sat down, and then exclaimed. He didn't pay attention at first, but when he sat down and looked at Jason carefully, with his 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master's strength, he immediately noticed the faint Imperial power that Jason could not help but reveal. 8th level Emperor, Spiritual Master? After hearing Elder Waterfield's words, several other people's eyes also showed surprise and amazement. Back when Jason was a 7th level Senior Imperial Spiritualist, he showed off his prowess in the elixir ranking competition and even defeated Edmiz, who was previously ranked 2nd. Jason's strength is full of hopes and speculations. I have just been promoted not long ago. Jason smiled lightly. Elder Waterfield, I came to the Core Hall, this time, to hand over a task. Elder Waterfield nodded. Jason, you are in the Saren Empire. What you did when you were the president of the trade union in the Rainbow Tower of many provinces, when you applied to return to the Medicine Master Tower a month ago, Coulson, the president of the Salem Empire Medicine Union, had already submitted it exactly as it was. I also told the 2 deputy tower masters about you. Based on what you have done in the Rainbow Tower this year, our Elixir Tower's evaluation of you is perfect. The Rainbow Tower is one of the more important elixir medicine unions in the mainland. We, the Elixir Tower, have always been paying attention to its situation in recent years. Over the years, the Rainbow Tower has continued to decline. It is worse than every year. One year, because of this, we decided to let you serve as the president of Rainbow Tower. The purpose is to see your ability. Although we are already full of confidence in your ability, we think that with your strength, we want to. It is not difficult to let Rainbow Tower gain a foothold in the province of Toronto. The Wing Spread Update Team is the fastest updated, but I never expected that you would manage Rainbow Tower to this extent. Rainbow Tower has been operating in the past year. The income has reached 1/3 of the income of our Elixir Tower and all the Elixir unions in the entire Salem Empire, and this proportion is still increasing every month. Whether you come to the Rainbow, the establishment of the tower and the subsequent auction have given us full confidence in your management ability. In view of your outstanding performance in the Rainbow Tower, we have now decided to give you the following rewards. Elder Waterfield's expression, he suddenly became serious. First, our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower will directly reward you with 10 million points. Secondly, our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower allows you to choose 3 8th level materials. These are 2 substances, and there is a third. One is to open some permissions in the Elixir Tower to you for free. We have recorded the specific aspects in this jade slip. Waterfield took out a jade slip from his body, and then used his spiritual power to send it to Jason who middle. Jason's spiritual consciousness penetrated into the jade slip instantly, and a large amount of information was transferred into Jason's mind in an instant. After sensing the information in the jade slip, Jason's mouth suddenly showed a smile. In the jade slips, many places that originally required spending points in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower are now completely free for Jason to enter. And some of the most top places, such as the Trial Island with the highest spirit level, although Jason has to spend points to ring. points, but it has a very low discount, which is not comparable to before. In addition to this third reward, the first two rewards also made Jason quite happy. 10 million points. Needless to say, Jason has never had so many points at once. Although with Jason's knowledge of elixirs, he can get a lot of points by answering questions, but 10 million points is not, and no one will find too many points for a small amount. As for the second reward, Jason was even more delighted. Jason returned to the elixir tower this time for an important purpose, which was to collect materials for the holy elixir he prepared for his father. Some of them were extremely precious. The 8th level materials may not be redeemed by the spiritual pharmacist tower. Even if they can be exchanged, they will definitely be at a sky-high price. Now, Jason can completely use these 3 quotas to exchange for 3 rare 8th level materials that are extremely difficult to find. Material. Jason, in addition to this reward, we have one more thing that we hope to get your approval for. After talking about the reward, Elder Waterfield only paused for a moment before speaking again. Elder Waterfield, please tell me. Jason raised his mind from the elixir and said aloud. I heard that you produced 3 super effective healing potions in the Rainbow Tower, which had a huge impact on the Salem Empire and even the entire continent. We also obtained samples of these 3 kinds of super effective healing potions you researched. Super effective healing potions do have extraordinary advantages. It will have a huge impact on the low-level healing potion market across the continent. The wing spreading update group is the fastest updated. It is an unprecedented innovation. We hope that it can benefit from you. Get the formulas of these 3 super effective healing potions there. Of course, don't worry, our spiritual alchemist tower is not asking for it for free. As long as you are willing to trade the formulas of these 3 super effective healing potions to us, our spiritual medicine tower, you will be paid a certain amount, and here we give you 3 options. The first one is that you hand over the formulas of these 3 super effective healing potions to us. Our spiritual pharmacist tower will use 50 million points and 6 8th level materials to buy out your 3 super effective healing potions. Ownership, of course, is fine in the future if you prepare it yourself. Even if you open a spiritual apothecary shop and hire a spiritual apothecary to prepare it, you can do it, but it can no longer be granted to a third party other than our spiritual apothecary tower and you. The second one is also exclusive. Grant us the alchemist tower, and we will give you 10 million points and 3 8th level materials. From now on, for every bottle of healing potion sold, you will get 1/5 of the revenue from the healing potion. Third, first, you hand over the formula to us, but you are not restricted from handing it over to a third party other than us. Our elixir tower will give you 30 million points and the benefits of 3 8 price materials. These 3, you are free to choose. Of course, you can also choose not to hand over the formula to us, but I hope you can think about it carefully. For a moment, the entire hall fell silent again. Behind the table in the hall, Elder Waterfield and others looked at Jason quietly, waiting for Jason's answer. Looking at the expectant eyes of Elder Waterfield and the others, Jason's heart was filled with emotion. This was one of the aspects of his fondness for the Medicine Master Tower that he had never heard of in his previous life. Although the ownership of these 3 super effective healing potions belonged to him, he had already told the formula to the Rainbow Tower. The 3 lures and other forces cannot obtain the formula of the super effective healing potion from the 3 lures, but the Elixir Tower is different. The 3 lures are members of the Elixir Tower first, and secondly, his subordinates. The Elixir Master Ta Tuchuan can forcefully get the formula he wants from the 3 lures without going through him. Moreover, Jason himself is also a core disciple of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. But the Elixir Master Tower did not do this. Instead, he made a deal with him, and the conditions given were not bad. There was no sense of bullying, which made Jason feel very emotional. For a force that stands at the pinnacle of the continent, this is extremely rare. When Jason was faced with a choice in the core hall, outside the core hall, the news that Jason had returned to Sky City was like having wings and quickly flew to all parts of Sky City. Countless core disciples gathered in the square, waiting for Jason to come out. Boom! Just as countless disciples were talking and waiting in the square, a golden stream of light, like a golden meteorite, directly hit the square, the fastest updated by the Wings update group, and an earth-shattering wave, the terrifying aura dispersed, and a face that was familiar to everyone was revealed in the golden light. It's senior brother Edmes. Many disciples in the square exclaimed. This person is none other than Edmes, who has advanced to the 8th level of the Pinnacle Imperial Spiritual Master, and who has just recently perfected the Moon-level high-grade technique, the Extinction Gold Saint technique. Edmes, who had just mastered the Moon-level high-level martial arts, the Exterminating Golden Saint technique, was the most influential figure in the Sky City in recent times. His appearance naturally aroused the exclamation and discussion of countless people. Amid the buzzing discussion, Edmes ignored the comments of many core disciples present, and instead sat cross-legged in the middle of the square, closing his eyes and practicing, as if waiting for Jason to appear. Senior brother Edmes is sitting here and not leaving. What is he doing? Is he trying to get back the situation he had a year ago? It's very possible that more than a year ago, senior brother Edmes was here. In the elixir list competition, he lost to senior brother Jason by one move with a slight disadvantage. Now 1 year has passed, and Edmes' strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Now that he heard that senior brother Jason was back, he naturally wanted to get this thing back. The confrontation between senior brother Edmes and senior brother Jason, oh my god, this is a shocking dog fight, you must not miss it. Seeing AI Demi's action made all the core disciples present think of a possibility, and immediately, a trace of fanaticism quickly rose from their hearts. Edmes, who was promoted to the 8th level of the Peak Imperial Spiritual Master 3 months ago and has practiced the Extermination Gold Holy Technique to great perfection, and Edmes, who had just completed the mission, Spreading Wings Renewal Team, and returned from completing the mission from the outside world. He had a slight advantage in the last elixir list competition. The battle between the victorious senior brother Jason. Just thinking about this scene makes countless core disciples feel extremely passionate and excited. Wow! Suddenly, many core disciples who were just curious about Jason's return became completely excited. At the same time, the news was transmitted to the entire Sky City at lightning speed. For a time, countless core disciples of Sky City who got the news rushed to the core hall crazily. I choose the second one. In the hall deep in the core hall, Jason made a decision after simple thinking. Wing Spreading Update Team, I decided on the formulas of these 3 super effective healing potions. Exclusively authorized to the Alchemist Tower. Okay, very good. After hearing Jason's choice, Waterfield and others had smiles on their faces. Jason's choice did not exceed their expectations. Generally, core disciples would agree to this situation, because any formula can only be spread to the greatest extent if it is handed over to the Elixir Master Tower. Maximize the benefits. Just like Jason's 3 super effective healing potions, if left to himself, they would only be 3 formulas. But if they are given to the Elixir Master Tower, they will be promoted in all Elixir Master Unions across the continent and gain the greatest benefits. Benefit. Moreover, generally far-sighted spiritual masters will choose the second option. For every bottle of super effective healing potion sold, Jason will receive 1/5 of the proceeds. It doesn't seem like much, but on the entire continent, but it is an extremely huge number, and it does not require any effort from Jason. He only needs to sit and collect money every day. Jason, here is the contract for you to sell the formulas of 3 super effective healing potions. Sign it. I will put the 20 million points from the mission reward and elixir trading on the identity token of your core disciple. As for you can write me the list of the 6 8th level materials. Elder Waterfield handed a contract that exuded spiritual energy directly to Jason's hand, and at the same time, handed over a spiritual pen and a spiritual pen. Paper. Looking at the terms in the contract that were consistent with what Elder Waterfield said, Jason nodded, then separated a trace of spiritual consciousness, released spiritual power and penetrated into the contract, leaving a spiritual mark and signing it. He gave his name and then left one of the 2 copies of the contract with himself, and gave the other to Waterfield. Afterwards, Jason wrote down the formulas of the 3 super-effective healing potions on the spiritual paper one by one. Each step of the preparation process was also recorded in detail. Finally, Jason also thought about what he needed. The names of the 6 8th-level healing potions were written on another piece of spiritual paper and handed over to Elder Waterfield. After receiving the formula, Elder Waterfield watched it for a moment and nodded with satisfaction. With his 8th-level intermediate elixir Emperor strength, he could naturally tell that the formula was real. Then, Elder Waterfield said again, "I looked at the 8th-level material Jason asked for below." With just one glance, the smile on Elder Waterfield's face instantly froze. "Jason, are you too cruel?" Elder Waterfield couldn't help but reveal a wry smile. When the wing-spreading update team saw Elder Waterfield's expression, Elder Coughlin and others were also full of curiosity. They came forward one by one. When they saw the name of the 8th-level material on the spiritual paper, their mouths couldn't help but smile. He began to twitch. Among the 8th-level materials Jason wrote above, 4 of them are materials similar to the 8th-level peaks such as 5 elements Dao fruit and Taisui wood. The other 2 are also extremely rare among 8th-level materials. Even Elder Coughlin and the others would be jealous of it. You must know that although they are all 8th-level materials, the value of the same rare 8th-level material and the same ordinary 8th-level material are completely different. Just like 7th-level spiritual cores and cloud mist spiritual fruits, they are both 7th-level materials. However, the trading price of 7th-level spiritual cores in the spiritual pharmacist tower is 70,000 to 80,000 points, while the trading price of cloud mist spiritual fruits is 50,000 points. 10,000 points, both are at the 7th level, but the price and rarity are not at the same level. "Why, Elder Waterfield, these things are not tricky in our elixir tower in the hall." Jason's brows also frowned. 4 of the 6 materials in it were prepared by him for his father. The remaining 2 kinds of holy level elixirs that allowed him to break through from the 8th level peak to the 9th level Holy Spirit Master were also searched for the other 2 9th level holy level elixirs that he obtained from the Palace of Death. The matching items are all what Jason needs very much. "Yes, yes," Elder Waterfield said very speechlessly, and then shook his head and said, "Forget it, since it has been agreed, I will no more words. These materials happen to be in the elixir library of our elixir tower, but I need to apply to the 2 deputy tower owners. As long as the 2 adults agree, I will give it to you as soon as possible." Phew! Hearing this, Jason couldn't help but let out a long breath. The Spirit Medicine Master Tower is indeed one of the most powerful forces in this era. Jason naturally understands the rarity of these materials and he just wants to give it a try. I didn't expect that there was really one in the elixir tower, which made Jason completely put down the stone in his heart. These materials are the 9th level holy level elixirs he searched for his father. They are extremely accurate, and there can be no mistakes at all. Without any kind of material, it will be difficult to successfully prepare it, and it will be difficult to find a substitute. Once it is missing, let Jason go to the mainland to search. I don't know if it will be found in the year of the monkey. Now I heard from Elder Waterfield that they are all in the elixir tower. Jason was naturally relieved. Although Elder Waterfield still had to apply to the 2 deputy tower masters, which might not be approved, as long as there was something in the inventory of the elixir master tower, with Jason's strength and elixir knowledge, he could definitely pass it through other methods. There is no way to get it, and for him, there is no pressure in the square outside the core hall. Countless core disciples were waiting for Jason to appear. At this moment, boom, boom, boom. Several streams of light carrying an astonishing aura quickly flew from a distance and landed directly on the square. 8 figures suddenly appeared on the square. appeared in the square. These 8 figures are 4 men and 4 women. Among them, the one from the wing-spreading update group walking at the front is actually an extremely attractive woman with long green hair, wearing a light green simple robe, and exuding an astonishing trace of lust. His breath and eyes were like icebergs that would last forever, without a trace of movement. However, when they saw this person, the hearts of all the core disciples present could not help but tremble, and a trace of cold sweat could not help but break out from behind. It's senior sister Lanuigusan. With senior brother Cassinus and the others. In the square, a disciple spoke in a low voice. This group of people were Lanuigusan and others who were practicing on Transformation Island and learned about Jason's return. The young master is back. In the crowd, Claire clenched her little hands and looked at the Tuashin Palace with excitement on her face. Master. Melting Saint was also excited. Jason. Lanuigusan, Sophia, Denisha, Cassinus, Leonardo, Temujin and others waited silently. Not long after Claire and the others arrived at the square. Wow! A burst of noise suddenly came from the hall of the core hall. With the sound, Claire and others' hearts suddenly tightened, and they looked at the entrance of the core palace. A thin figure appeared at the entrance of the core palace in an instant, and at the same time, they looked over. At this moment, their eyes met, and time seemed to freeze for an instant. Everything around him seemed to turn into nothingness at this moment, and everything was dark, leaving only Z's silent gaze. Master. Claire's eyes instantly became moist, and she rushed forward instantly, like a tired bird returning to the forest, and threw herself into Jason's arms. Master, you are finally back. Claire misses you so much. Claire buried her head in Jason's arms and sobbed silently. Her eyes were full of excitement, and tears flowed unbridled from the corners of her eyes. Come down. Jason. Seeing this scene, Lanuigusan felt that her heart seemed to hurt slightly. A complicated feeling lingered in her heart. At this moment, she was extremely envious of Claire, who could do whatever it took. Express your emotions. Clea, there are so many people watching here. Lanuigusan suddenly said. Ah. Claire, who seemed to have reacted, immediately exclaimed, left Jason's arms, lowered her head, and her whole face turned into a ripe peach, flushed. Master. Rong Sheng walked forward slowly, his voice jittering. Jason. Cassinus and the others couldn't help but stepped forward. Lanuigusan, everyone. Jason looked at everyone, and a smile suddenly appeared on his lips. Just then boom. Jason suddenly felt an extremely sharp momentum coming from the other side of the square. A figure wearing a golden robe slowly walked over from the other side of the square. Wherever he went, countless disciples got out of the way. On the golden-robed figure standing in front of Jason. Jason, I want to challenge you. The untimely voice resounded in the square, and Edma's sharp gaze was like a cold blade, falling coldly on Jason, his eyes dripping with lust. What came out was endless fighting spirit. The entire audience fell silent for an instant.